Christine, it's lovely to have you back in Sweden, presenting your lovely trend books, the cipherfm books. Well, and you have a baby because it's suddenly 4 books, right?
Yes, yeah. We've, at your request, my darling.
Yes.
We have actually, we're experimenting with the lifestyle edit. It looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good at the moment. But we might, modify so that it becomes even more perfect.
The thing is that you're crossing the women and the men colors and concept for people who are non-fashion. So it's relevant for interior people, textile people like that, because they love your color, but sometimes maybe a little bit too many fashion items in there. But they are gone, and there's another angle.
In fact, pretty much like in the what we do within the presentation, which is actually give it a broader spectrum. Yeah. So talk about the colour and combine and create those connections between how the trends flow from one to the other, through from active through to women through to men.
That's
because they all connect.
Yeah. So why don't you?
Yeah, so the season always starts with Activate. That's this one here. And we always start with the colour, and which we put into colour waves. We call them colour waves. And that is showing, the influences behind those colours and the actual colours as they're evolving.
They are physical cotton swatches.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of flow with the colour, so particularly with Activate, that might be a little further behind in some ways. A lot of the colours flow from the previous 2 seasons in Activate, and then we add the most essential new ones. I think that's quite important information because you might see that those colours, if you were looking at women or at men, those colours are actually within the other books. Then we tend to evolve from that point, and that might evolve slightly differently for men and slightly differently for women. I mean, we could actually look at the browns across men's and women's as well as an example of how that has shifted. So from Activate, where you might just need a key brown, which was hoisin sauce that came from our previous summer, a nice caramelly type of shade, driftwood, and then this lovely warm latex gum. And then we still call this, within the brown family, the taupey shade. Now, what we did in women's was actually evolve from that taupey shade into these more greyed off browns. It's just a lot more palatable for a lot of consumers. But for me, and those brown lovers like me, of which there are many. So Spaniel Brown was one of our new shades. It's a lovely mid-rich, mid-tone shade. And then we have this a little bit more treacly version of a taupe. Then we could maybe look at the browns. I'm determined to continue with browns, so that's why we're featuring that here. Here we go in men's. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Actually, a much richer palette here for men. So again, some of these came through from the summer. The Spaniel Brown is there, but what we added here was this richer firecracker. Otherwise, it was a richer. We called it sensual browns, which we felt are very important for the menswear area. So
But also what's so unique with you is how you concept them later in the trends and how you combine them. What makes them new for a season is you add accents and
how to use them. So maybe what we could do is look at where those browns actually landed. So in women's wear, as illustrated in the presentation, we look at kind of graduating the colour of brown. But the consumer wants safety, wants to know that what they're buying into, you're going to continue doing. So evolution is very, very much a part of what we're doing now. Should we call it forecasting, or should we call it evolving? Or evolving forecasting. So across the books, we evolve the colours. So in Activate, you have influences here, but say, for example, hoisin sauce landed here in our everyday theme. Now, most people would reach for a navy. We are offering alternatives. In menswear, we did everyday, and the brown also was evolved within this storyline. It crops up in other areas.
You mean this travelogue?
Travelogue here. But there are different shades and nuances that we're working with when we're talking about browns. So I've actually made this all about brown, which you can tell.
You left the pinks.
Yeah. Well, as we discussed earlier, the pinks are on my front door.
Yeah. So that's already
not actually wearing them.
Yeah. No, but I think it's interesting to see how also for companies that actually work crisscrossing both active men's and women's, how they all come together, but they're translated and I guess matched or styled differently.
Yes.
So that was also helpful because some companies really want to have a red line there in the collections, though they don't have typically 50 different shades of the same color.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and most companies, when they've found a successful shade, they will be running it through.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily contest that, unless, of course, you're looking for a new navy, in which case, we have suggested this more aqua or slightly tealy version of an indigo, which we feel very strongly about.
It's nice with the browns.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Classic.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Classic 80s. Well, I think this is wonderful.
Books to see physical. You need to see them your own.
Yes.
Because it's so beautiful colors. People love them. You are great in colors.
Hooray me.
Yes, hooray you.
And
we're not even going to open the summer 27, but it's here for Activate.
Yes, we've done our first edit for spring summer 27 Activate. But by popular demand, we are going to revisit that, and we are going to create a version that has a more kind of urban street active variation. So there will be two versions of this book, and once we've done the research for the men's and women's, we will be able to work that up as a. If not a physical book, there'll be the PDF which you can then order as a physical book. I think modification is really very much an important part of going forward, really, which is one of the reasons that we worked on the lifestyle actual request.
Yes. I think it's fabulous.
Because it doesn't invalidate the stuff that you've already done, because you need to present it in a slightly different way so that each customer has a version that works totally for them as opposed to a small part.
I think it's fabulous. And it goes without saying, all when you buy your books, you get the PDF and you get the image library for the images, and so you can play with it and work
through. Yes, and you can work them in different ways. In fact, you know, you could take the images that are within in the waves part and the color waves part, and work those, you know, kind of differently and into the various stories.
Yes, I think people do.
It's a
hacking colors and mood boards.
A tool. Very much designed as a tool. Despite being an analog book, there is a digital tool aspect to it as well.
Yeah, a practical part.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Christine Foden, for once again presenting Decipher FM and the range of books and your services. So.
Yes, well, thank you. And thank you always for giving me the opportunity to come to your wonderful country.
We love it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.